Any interesting weekends?
We got a stray cat that we found in our building adopted.
Oh yeah?
Nice. When I say we, my wife did.
Your wife did all of the work.
So
You just basically left the cat.
I just exactly I got it to care.
That's funny. Did it like pee all over your apartment or anything?
We didn't. No. We only had it for a little while, and then we took it to a vet in the shelter. The shelter was really don't just call it for do anything. We'll find it somewhere. And she sent out a lot of emails and flyers and things. And some big stuff.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen the little comic with says, "Have you seen this cat?" And it's a picture of a cat. At the bottom it says, "This cat's not lost, it's just awesome." All right, okay, so let's talk here. So I'm probably gonna share my screen for this one. And also pull up chat in case anybody has any questions. If anybody has any questions on YouTube, GChat Ben. Ben's got his laptop and he'll be your voice of the day. So GChat Ben. So what I want to talk about is compliments and positive feedback are incredibly powerful. So for example, when I was 14, I had this pair of shoes that was kind of an ugly pair of green Vans. But this girl I had a crush on complimented them, so I thought they were about the coolest thing ever after that. I wore them pretty much every day until they were destroyed and fell off my feet. It's very powerful, even like small things that you may not notice if you kind of let somebody know, like, hey, nice job on that report, or I like the way you talk to the client about this, but other people do notice. People, they kind of thrive on it. We're social creatures, and that positive feedback has a big part of our mentality. So Harvard's done some research that shows that positive feedback will make you happier at work, less stressed, and more productive. And I'm sure everybody would like to be more happier and less stressed. So giving and receiving positive feedback is a big part of that. And further, research has shown that it can be as powerful of a driver as even receiving a cash reward. And I think sometimes it can be even more powerful. A lot of times you might do something for a family or friend who's giving you a compliment or positive feedback or that you like, you know, that you wouldn't do even for cash if somebody offered you the money. Like I hate moving people from apartment to apartment, but sometimes I'll do it if it's like a special friend. Like, you can't pay me enough to make me do that. I hate that work, but yeah. There's also the legendary leader Dale Carnegie. He's the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is kind of like the leading book in this area for like the last 60 years. The guy was pretty incredible. And he said that the #1 way that you can be a leader is actually by starting to give people praise and honest appreciation. So obviously you shouldn't be going around just giving random like fake compliments or things. People can be like, oh, like that guy's super cheesy. You want it to be genuine, you want it to mean something, and you want to make sure it's honest, obviously. But it is an important thing to do, and I think it's something that people just forget about doing. You may really appreciate, oh, I got a compliment that makes me feel really good, but then you don't necessarily make a connection. I should do this for other people when I see them do well. Jordan, are you there?
I'm here.
Jordan, do you have any examples of compliments you've received that you felt changed your mentality on anything?
We actually, I think there was a couple team members. We had one a week or two ago, maybe, from Andrew Grease at Q-Spray. So he had specifically requested that we kind of have a separate meeting to look at, really how we can increase our scope of work with him. And I think he said something to the effect of, anytime Jordan gets on the phone and we have a strategy meeting, good things happen for my business. And it's just kind of a nice reminder that, hey, I'm actually really good at what I do. It helps me with confidence, and certainly makes me want to invest more time in his business and planning out some kind of great things we can do as we kind of extend into our second or third year with his client or with his company.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I mean, you guys probably noticed, like, if a client gives you a compliment, you kind of like the client a little bit more, try a little bit harder. It's nice to receive those sorts of feedback, you know. And you'll see the same thing with our team here internally. You know, if somebody's putting together a report for you for your client and they do a nice job of it, let them know, hey, you did a real nice job on this report. I was happy with it. It made the client have this sort of a good reaction, and it turned out very well. You know, and that'll encourage that person to continue to do so in the future. If that person doesn't receive any feedback, it might be something that they might be like, oh, well, I'm not really sure if people really notice, or like, or have kind of observed what's going on, or if it even really matters what I'm doing. You know, so it is important to help help identify and praise those good efforts. Let's see here. Ivana, how about you? Do you have any examples where you've had something, a compliment or positive feedback?
Yeah, I remember back in school as well, I had a teacher who really made it a point to let me know that she thought that I had a talent for language. And thanks to her encouragement, I ended up taking her Latin class for 6 years, which I otherwise probably may not have done. So that was definitely thanks to her feedback.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a really big impact there. And sometimes that teacher may not have really even noticed. You know, she may have just been thinking, oh, like Ivana, you did a nice job. That's good. That's good on this. But Ivana really took that to heart, and she pursued it for 6 more years. You know, so it is very important that when we see people doing things well and doing things that align with kind of our goals and objectives, we want to give them that positive feedback. So one of the things that I did here, what I'm trying to do at Coalition, is I want to incorporate more positive feedback and praise and that sort of thing, honest appreciation for when people are doing work well. So I built a tool for this, which I kind of built a tool for everything. But this is a tool I sent it out last week. Let me log in. So you should all have this. If you don't have this link at the top of your score task, email Hamza and Hamza and I will help get the permissions sorted out. You can CC Myra too if you want to, but basically just let one of us know. We'll help you guys make sure that you have access to it. So here's here it is. It's pretty basic, pretty easy. It's just basically if you want to give somebody feedback, all you do is click on Add, and then if there was a specific piece of feedback you want to give somebody, you could put that in here. I'm going to try and see if I can think of any right off the top of my head. Probably should have thought this ahead of time. I'll just say, I'll do this in advance. Chris, your spinning report, I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So I'll put this in here, and you just select your recipient. So Chris, and then you have 2 options, frowny or smiley. Get in with smiley. Now the magnitude is kind of one of the things that I want to note here. Each person, each team member, actually you guys get up to 3 pieces of feedback you can leave each day. Now you can do it all at once and just make it a large feedback and give kind of 3 points to somebody. Or you could break that 3 points up into individual comments, one for each person. So if I give Chris a 1, and as a team lead, I think team leads get 6. So yeah. So Chris, we're going to give you a 1, and then Smiley this. And so when this happens, Chris will receive an email. I tried to work with Mike a little bit on this, and the best we've been able to figure out is that the email looks like it's just coming to you, but if you click here, you'll see it's other team members are CC'd on it, so you can see it with the Chris. So if I replied to this, I could say, just to add to this, Chris, you did a wonderful job, or Chris could reply and just say, like, thank you, or something. So the reply is on there, but you just can't see it by default. If I ever figure out how to do that, I'll update this so it shows up like more like a normal one. So yeah, that'll show up here, and you can see all the other feedback on down through, and you can search by it. So if you want to say, okay, well, where's all the feedback for me? I'm really want to see what people think of my performance, or somebody else's performance. You have filtering options and that sort of thing. You can see, okay, well, here's all the feedback that Joel's left for other people. I've given feedback for Amon and Constante and Julio and Rebecca and Chris. So yeah, so let me come back over here. So if you see somebody doing something well, please give them feedback to the tool. And you can see that there's a note here. So feedback, it must be related to coalition's goals and be about a specific action. So don't say like, oh, Colin, you're really looking good today. I love the way you did your hair. Like, it just looks incredible. Like that's probably not the sort of feedback we'll put in the tool. You can tell them in person if you feel that way. But yeah, it is very nice. And also try and make sure it's specific. So don't just say like, Krista is a wonderful team member.
You can say that if you want to.
You can say that if you want to, but give her a 3x. Yes. No, but we want to make it specific so people know what it's about. So Krista can know, well, I know I'm wonderful, but what did I actually do that made me feel this way? So maybe she sent through client information or notes or call stuff. So make sure that you're sticking with this. We also do have a little leaderboard thing here, and you can see it right here. It defaults to, I don't know how you can get me into this, but basically you can see whoever has the most smileys. I think, and you can see where it's at. Not very many people have used this yet, but hopefully people will begin using it. It defaults to last 60 days. You can change to any other time period if you would like as well. Now, you guys might be wondering, okay, well, will this impact my KPI or anything like that? At this point, no. There's not anything directly associated. It's just a matter of encouraging each other, helping people to go that way. We'll use maybe a little bit in the team member of the month selections that we do. But it won't be the entire thing. That's kind of a small benefit. It's not really one of our big ones. But this is mostly just so you guys can encourage each other and share positive feedback. One thing to note is the tool will by default CC your team lead and the person that you give the feedback to's team lead as well. That way they can see it and they can kind of incorporate it and that sort of thing. So yeah, so that's how this works. Does anybody have any questions about the tool itself or how it works? Yeah, Eric.
So is the main way this differs from ScoreTask is that like anybody can give feedback to anybody and give this little smiley funny rating? To
clarify, ScoreTask is the entire tool suite. There's a whole bunch of tools in here.
Okay. Like the KPI.
So the KPIs are different. KPIs are your team lead and manager rating your performance.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It's what whether you met, like if you needed to produce 10 reports that month, and you did 10 reports and you get an outstanding. If it's and if it's something that's the objective KPI, and then on the managerial side, that's just your team lead's overall assessment of your performance. So, and the reason why I'm not doing this is I don't want people to try and game this or just like say like, hey, I'll give you a good review, you give me a good review. It's not going to count for anything like that. It'll be a mild impact, and your team lead might read through it and review it and just say like, okay, well, how's this team member doing? Might get a little bit of ideas, but it doesn't actually correlate to anything. It's just about giving each other encouragement and making sure we're moving in the right direction.
So why is there a frowning option?
So the frowning option is so that if you have a concern, you can give that, you can share that with the person, and that'll go above the option to work on it. My guess is not many people are using the frowning option. And I don't know, and maybe I'll even remove it if it seems like it's inappropriate. I put it in there just as, I figured it's like Facebook has a like button. That's all I've been really knowing. They don't have an unlike button. So it's just kind of that, but maybe I eventually will remove it, or it probably just won't be used, is my guess. So I've been kind of debating on that one, and I'll be open to you guys' feedback. If you guys are like, brownies are terrible, get rid of them, I can get rid of them.
I feel like if you actually had, negative feedback,
You might go direct.
Yeah, you'd rather go more direct. Than
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to agree with you, and I probably should remove that and just flip it on, but because I could.
If someone's ego gets too big, it's not in that.
Yeah, the public brownie. I gotta think about that one some more. I know. I don't mind if somebody gives me a frowny. I mean, I'll try and improve on those areas, but I think that a lot of people, if they get a frowny, they might be kind of upset about it. I don't want that to happen. So yeah, it is kind of public. So that's a good point. I might actually turn off the frownies. Make a note for myself. Yeah, so that's a good question. Any other questions on the tool or thoughts? Any remote questions or thoughts on the tool?
The frown could just send a message to you and the team lead, and the team lead and you can decide if it's appropriate to bring up the person specifically.
Yeah, but it might show up in this list. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I got to think about the frowny thing. I might get rid of it.
What if frowny could take away from the smiley?
It won't go wonder. Yeah, those are good points. I'll think about the frowny and maybe kind of leaning towards getting rid of it unless I can think of a good purpose for it.
Is the notification for frownies, is that anonymous?
It's the same thing. Notification's the same either way. Sharice doesn't like it. It goes to the person. And the reason it should go to the team leads in that case is maybe there's an option, by the way, I'll show you guys. There's actually an option to flag feedback if you disagree with it or if it doesn't meet our criteria.
It just seems like negative feedback should probably be done face to face.
Well, there's
Like easier to.
yeah, and you might be right. We might remove this now that I've been thinking about it some more. But you can flag it right here, and if you flag it, it'll actually show up as flag. And I'll review the flag feedback. And if I think the feedback is not deserved or doesn't meet our requirements, then I'll click on delete, and it's gone. So now Chris lost his feedback. He's very sad.
It's his birthday.
Oh, that's true. Happy birthday, Chris.
We all should sing your happy birthday. You get a smiley for your birthday, Chris.
It doesn't meet the requirements. Yeah, so this tool it'll have some more feature improvements and things. I actually want to have like the actual picture of a smiley face rather than just like the this little emoticon thing. Yeah, we're gonna have some emojis in here. I might have badges that you can earn your way up to if you get 20 smileys. Maybe you get some sort of reward of some sort. I don't know. Pizza reward, yes, in the app. I'll put a pizza icon next to your name.
Retraining badges, I was thinking of like happy
Moving them over. It's supposed to go up the food chain. I don't know if it ever really went across that way. But yeah, if you guys have feedback on this, definitely let me know, and I'll try and include it in. Yeah. So in terms of stuff that we want to give feedback on, we'll run through some of these areas. So anything that helps us achieve our goals. So if you're doing things with marketing client revenue retention, on the results side, if somebody does well with SEO analysis, there's links built for a client that are strong, helpful links from a good site. On copy, if a client sees some copy and is really happy with it, let's make sure to pass that feedback to our copy strategist. For our PPC analyst, if we're getting, if we have good monthly results, maybe we spend $1,000 for a client and bring in $10,000 in revenue. Let's make sure that we give feedback, positive feedback that way. On the relationship side, if you see a DP who's done a really good job of managing expectations or working with the client or building a strong personal relationship, and the client seems very positive about things, or if the reports are really well done, really well put together for a specific client, make sure we share that stuff as well. Oh, I want to point out one other thing is, and you have a little counter right here for how much feedback you can give each day, and this resets every day. So you'll always get a new set of feedback each day that you can give. The reason I put this on, so team members get 3 and the team lead gets 6 units of feedback. The reason I put the limit on is that so people don't just go in there and like give every single team member in the company something, just be like, oh, I got to spread it all around. I want this to be specific and I want it to mean something. You're not for long. I'm going to fix it. That's I'm pointing that out today. Yes, that would probably qualify for the flagging and deletion. Yeah. So also on the web design revenue side, we want to focus on gorgeous designs. If you see a designer who's done a really nice job on a design for a client, just make sure that we give positive feedback for that. If you see a really high quality development with no bugs or formatting issues, and they followed the requirements to a T, you didn't have to go back and forth them, let's make sure we're giving positive feedback for that. If one of our QA team members QAs and finds all of the issues before a client does, and this is very important because once a client finds issues, they're going to continue to look for issues, and that just creates headaches for everybody. So it's better to give them something that's real polished and nice up front. So like, whoa, that's great. You exactly met my requirements. Let's make sure to give the QA team positive feedback. And also good client management by our web development VPs, and expectation setting, and making sure things are moving, clients getting us information they need to get us, and talking to them early on, making sure we have all the content and products and everything ready to migrate and import. On the sales revenue side, I do want to point out that our DS team is doing really, really well right now. Carl especially has been doing an amazing job closing a ton of new deals for us. So it's wonderful to see that. But the keys to continue that success are going to be getting on a new client or on a call with a new prospect as quickly as we can. Ideally, we'll answer those calls as they come in, although I do know sometimes maybe on another call or something like that. We also want to follow up frequently, every couple of days, with an email and a phone call. We want to set expectations for our teams to succeed in the work. So both setting expectations with the client and with our own team, making sure everybody understands here's the bar that needs to be met, and the client understanding, well, here's the number of hours you get, here's kind of the limits to what we're going to do, or here's the time frame you should be expecting things. Those are going to be very important. We also need our digital strategy assistant to continue building great custom proposals and agreements that are on point, don't have any mistakes in them. With our recruiting retention team, on the sourcing side, we need to continue to find ways to get new applicants. We also want to work on maximizing the number of applicants who are taking our skills test. 1,000 a month right now at this point for the skills test. For our screening, we want to accurately rate our candidates according to the methods and training that I've laid forth. We also want to get all candidates screened within 2 weeks of their initial application, ideally. That way we can quickly identify the stars and bring them on board. With our interviews, we want to accurately assess who will be the best fit for our team. And we also want to remember there's another side to this, which is to sell coalition to the candidates. Our recruiters are really kind of our ambassadors to our potential team members and to kind of the world at large out there. Our digital strategists do the same thing with prospects as our recruiters do with potential new team members. We also want to be finding better ways to assess our performance. Now with accounting, we want to make sure all of our accounting work is done securely, which means that we're in control of our financial accounts. We have all those locked in. That only the right people have access and have kind of minimum access levels that they need to do their job. We want to make sure it's done accurately, which means that there's not errors and mistakes, that when we look at reports, balance sheets, all that sort of stuff, and budgeted expenses. We can make good, accurate, good decisions on that. We also want to make sure it's done on time. This is very, very important. Nobody in the company will be happy if your pay is late, and the company will have a hard time functioning if we don't get our billing done on time. And also making sure we have good reports internally on time. It will make sure that we can make much more accurate decisions about, can we afford to hire new people? Can we afford to invest in new systems or tools, that sort of thing. We also want to try and prevent mistakes. And we want to make sure that team members in general have everything they need to accomplish their goals, whether that be phone, computer, whatever things we need to have set up for them. So these are all great areas. If somebody does something related to any of these different things, these are all great things to leave feedback on. When you see somebody do something well, drop that in there. You know, my suggestion is maybe at the end of each day when you're going and you're entering your time tracker data, or just at the end of each day, maybe think, okay, well, what happened today? Who helped me the most? You know, and maybe put in feedback for that person and make a note of that. If somebody went above and beyond for you and really helped to get things done, or did a great job on a piece of work you depend on, definitely include that here. Yeah, so in the future, I hope to add a badge system, prettier design. Probably gonna get rid of smile brownies. And you can't get feedback yourself. One thing to note here is I do realize that certain team members in certain positions don't have the opportunity to get as much feedback as others. So for example, a developer who just got assigned a full development project might only be in contact with Aman and maybe the DP that he worked with. And so he doesn't have the opportunity necessarily to get a whole lot of people leaving feedback. That's why we're not using this as like some sort of a comparison system. It's more just to encourage people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's a better worker than you or a worse worker than you by having more or less feedback. Because there's somebody like Brian might interact with the entire company over the course of every 2 weeks with going through payroll, for example. Maybe these people G-chatting him, asking questions, he's sending out information. He has a lot more opportunity to earn those than that developer did. And that kind of, you'll see that applied across different positions. A digital producer, team lead, like Rebecca, probably is going to work with SEO analysts, SEO team leads, developers, all of her own team members, all across the board. She has a lot more opportunities to gain more of these smileys and positive feedback. And every position kind of has varying levels of this. So it's not like a truly objective tool. We're not going to use it that way. It's just intended so we can give positive feedback and we can recognize it, and that people do get recognition and it's something that sticks around. Because a lot of times your team lead might not know that you did something well. And now if somebody recognizes it, your team lead will see that for sure. So this should be a nice extra way to call attention to your good work, and also for you to be able to encourage and praise and give your honest, positive feedback to anybody who helps you out in some way. Any questions or thoughts in general? Does everything make sense? Everything's all good? All right, well, if you come up with any feature suggestions or you can't access the tool or anything like that, feel free to email me and Hamza and Myra, as I said. We'll make sure we get that stuff fixed. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and let's keep moving forward. That was a long meeting. I think it was that long. Yeah, about a half hour. Time flies when you're so tough.